Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on the channel, and Monday was a very exciting day for all my fellow non-playoff team fans. It was the NHL Draft Lottery. It was cool how we could see the whole process live. Bit confusing, but whatever. The New York Islanders moved up 9 spots to get the first overall pick in shocking fashion, and the Utah Hockey Club also moved up to 4th overall, so lots of changes in the draft order. So now that we know the first 20 or so picks, I thought I would do a mock draft while we were waiting for the second round of the NHL playoffs to unfold. We'll be doing the first 16 lottery picks today and then doing a full first round once we know the full order after the playoffs are over. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Like I said, the Islanders hold the first overall pick. They've got a new GM, a fresh start, and I think they will start off this little retool rebuild by selecting the best player available, Matthew Schaefer from the Erie Otters. He's a dynamic offensive presence on the blue line, showed that at the World Juniors where he was arguably Canada's best player. He's very young for this draft as well, fantastic skater, good size at 6'2", high hockey IQ on both sides of the ice. He's really the full package. The only real worry with him is injuries. He was limited to 17 games this year, but he's projected to be a high-end number one defenseman. He can play power play, PK, big minutes at even strength, and just can do it all, and that's a much-needed commodity on Long Island where they have pretty much no defensive prospects and an aging defensive core. So it is true that the Islanders do need an elite forward as well. Michael Misa, even Long Island native James Higgins would fill that role, but I think it's just smart for them to go with the best player available, Schaefer, especially because Noah Dobson has been the subject of trade rumors as of late. The Sharks hold the second overall pick. Schaefer would be a dream fit for them, but since he is gone, the drop-off for a defenseman is steep. I think the Sharks will go forward again, pick the best player available in Michael Misa from the Saginaw Spirit. Misa, I'm going to say, is the most well-rounded player in this draft class, but when you think well-rounded, you think like a defensively strong, doesn't move the needle that much, safe player. This is not Michael Misa. He is probably the best offensive player in this class. He has an elite scoring touch. He has 62 goals in 65 games this season. He's a great skater. He probably has the highest hockey IQ in this draft. He can be a scorer, a playmaker, and he has a really nice two-way game. He kind of reminds me of kind of a lesser Macklin Celebrini almost. Although he has played center his whole junior career, he could do a lot of damage on Macklin Celebrini's wing, or play 2C and allow Will Smith to take over on the wing. Overall, it's just a great situation for the Sharks. They do need defensemen, but there's no problem with the rich getting richer in terms of forward prospects. So yeah, Misa to the Sharks. The third overall pick belongs to the Chicago Blackhawks. They still have lots of needs in their rebuild. The biggest one is an elite forward to help Connor Bedard. There's plenty in this draft. There's some great centers, but I think they would be best off going with the top winger in the draft in Porter Martone from the Brampton Steelheads. He just might be my favorite player to watch from this draft class. When he's at his best, he's the definition of just a new age power forward. He's big and physical. He can get the puck in the corners and set up his center or score himself. He's high hockey IQ, definitely a must if he's going to be Connor Bedard's partner in crime, and if he improves his consistency in defensive game, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in Chicago. The Utah Hockey Club is up next. They have lots of young, talented forwards, but will look even better with a guy like James Higgins in the mix. He was the projected first overall pick before the year started. He didn't necessarily disappoint at the NCAA level. He went point per game as a freshman, very impressive, but we expected him to just dominate. He didn't quite do that, but his playmaking and IQ are among the best in the class. His skating allows him to dance his way past the defense with ease, and he won't have to dominate at the NHL level if he goes to Utah, as they already have a surefire number one center in Logan Cooley. He could fit in as a very high-end 2C behind Cooley. He could maybe transition to winger and play on the top line. His physical game and decision-making could be improved, but he doesn't really have to rush his growth. Utah will be hitting their cup window just as Higgins reaches his peak. I think it's fair to say that he has taken a step back from the top two of this draft of Misa and Schaefer. He's not quite at that level anymore, but I do think he does actually have the potential to be maybe the best forward in this draft if he can continue that dominance we saw in his draft minus 1 year. So yeah, the Higgins goes to Utah, a great pickup for them. Nashville was rewarded with a 5th overall pick after their disaster of a season. They're pretty much needy at every position, and I think they would be best off going with a high-ceiling player. The highest ceiling playing here is Anton Frundell. Playing in the Allsvenskan, he had a slow start to the year. He was dealing with injuries, but he was absolutely on fire to end the year. He kind of reminds me of Leo Carlson in that he is a very poised 200-foot player. He protects the puck very well for his size. His hockey IQ has led me to believe that he may even be a more talented player than he's showing. He could have a higher ceiling than many expect, and Nashville needs young players in any forms, and Frundell could potentially have the highest ceiling out of the players remaining, so I think Frundell would fit in great in Nashville. Philadelphia is next up at 6 overall. I think they missed the truly elite players that are going to go within the top 5, but they still have that center need. They took Jet Luchenko last year. They still need a number 1 center. So I think they will go Caleb Desnoyers, sorry if I mispronounced that, out of Moncton in the QMJHL. He went into his draft year touted as a strong defensive center. He was that this season. He's never out of position. He's always competitive on the puck. However, this year is where he truly showed off his offensive potential. He broke out as both a playmaking and a scoring threat, and using his high hockey IQ to create some highlight reel plays. If he continues the progression he's on, he could be a serious offensive threat at the NHL level as well as a defensive presence. At 6'2", he still has time to grow into his frame, and I think he will become more physical as he matures. Although he does have a very high floor of like a second-line center, I truly believe that Desnoyers has the potential to become a well-rounded number 1 center at the NHL level, which the Flyers are in desperate need of right now, so Desnoyers will fit in great in Philadelphia. Boston started their rebuild at this deadline. They moved out some big names, and now they have the 7th overall pick. They should be looking to get younger at every position, so taking the player with the highest ceiling is probably the best bet, and that's why here they will select Roger McQueen from the Brandon Wheat Kings. Not only does he have the best name in this draft class, he's also a very interesting story because he was limited to just 20 games this season due to injury. But he has so much intrigue with him. He's 6'5". He's a smart positional player. He puts himself in situations to score and create offense. I really like his hands in front. They're very good. Not really typical for a big net front presence like him. He's not overly physical with his size, but he definitely showed improvement on his physicality and defensive game this season. The biggest problem with him is just his consistency and obviously those injury issues, but if you're the Bruins and you're this early in the rebuild, you can afford to take a home run swing on perhaps the most mysterious player on this draft, but maybe one of them with the highest potential. Seattle's up next. They have a new GM as well. I believe it's Jason Botterill, right? Yeah, and then Ron Francis staying in there. They have a large hole in their prospect system. It's at the right defense position, so I think they would find a great fit in right-handed defenseman Radim Murka, who also conveniently plays for the Seattle Thunderbirds. A 6'6" defenseman. I say that, and you probably expect him to be the stay-at-home guy. However, Murka breaks the mold. He's one of the fastest and most agile defensemen in this defensive class. He can effectively shut down opponents on the rush. He's good physically, but what really impresses me about him is that he is effectively quarterbacking a power play. He can distribute the puck very well. He plays a strong, stable, straightforward game. It isn't necessarily the most crazy creative game, but he makes very little mistakes, and I think he will be an extremely effective top 4 defenseman at the NHL level. If he can score 35 points and be your number 2 or number 3 defenseman, eat heavy minutes, it's a success for the Kraken at this position where they desperately need help. So they're going to go with Radim Murka. The Buffalo Sabres also need a right-handed defenseman, but there's not many options left on the board for defense, so I think they're better off going with a forward in Victor Eklund, who's a teammate of Frundell's at Djurgården. Standing at just 5'11", 161 pounds, Eklund is known for his dynamic offensive goal-scoring abilities, but you'll also be surprised to know that he actually has one of the best work ethics in this draft class. This will allow him to be an excellent complementary top 6 player at the NHL level. He's the type of winger that is tough enough to get the puck out of the corners for his center, and then smart enough to make the best play available every time he has the puck in his stick. I think he'll do very well in Buffalo. His brother William is already breaking out as an elite winger in San Jose, and if Eklund, who outscored William in his draft year, actually can reach that potential as well, he would be a perfect complementary piece in Buffalo's top 6. The Ducks hold the 10th overall pick. They took a step in their rebuild this year, and they will still manage to pick up a strong player. I think they should go with Carter Bear, a dynamic forward from Everett of the WHL. He finished his year with 40 goals and 82 points. Although he's more of just an average size at 6 foot, he's still pretty comfortable physically and allows him to be a threat on the forecheck and in his own zone. Although he isn't expected to put up these huge numbers at the NHL level, he's not that good of a skater. He has great goal-scoring instincts and could bring some well-rounded game and scoring finish to a top 6 in Anaheim that's kind of mostly filled playmakers right now. The Penguins are next up at the 11th overall pick, and they'll be starting off this little retool of theirs with a perfect future second line center in Jake O'Brien from the Brantford Bulldogs. His playmaking stands out as some of the best in this class, and his offensive vision seems to improve every time I watch him. Although he started slow, I think he can be a genuine offensive driver at the NHL level. His defensive game is also very impressive, and his work ethic and hockey IQ make him a beast at power play, even strength, and penalty kill. Much like Caleb Desnoyers as well, who went to the rival Flyers, he has a very high floor, but I think he has another level to reach and could be that number one center for the Penguins. He's emerged as one of my personal favorites from the draft. The Penguins are getting a gem for sure. The Rangers, assuming they're keeping this year's pick, will be drafting 12th overall, and their left side of their defense is looking pretty weak right now, so they could be getting a steal in Jackson Smith out of Tri-City. His frame is great at 6'3", but it is incredible to watch how he skates at his size. He showed many flashes last year of strong puck-moving potential, but it's really truly been realized this year, making him one of the most dominant and dangerous defensemen in the WHL. He also has improved his defensive game a lot, and although he still makes a lot of mistakes under pressure, at his best he's excellent at retrieving the puck and sending a breakout the other way. I don't really see elite top pair defenseman potential in Jackson Smith, but I think he can be an excellent number 3 defenseman and second power play quarterback for any team who picks him up. So if the Rangers are willing to be patient with his decision making, they should be very happy with this pick. 13th overall belongs to the Detroit Red Wings. In the last few years, they've taken lots of defensive forwards with their first rounders, guys like Danielson and Brenzig Newgard. This year, I think they switch it up and take a risk on a high-octane offensive dynamo in Cameron Schmidt out of Vancouver. Staying at 5'7" and 157 pounds, Schmidt is not your typical undersized forward, as he's actually very tenacious on the forecheck, willing to go to the dirty areas. He also carries those typical small forward traits of being very quick and agile, having incredible vision. He's an excellent goal scorer. He's not really a defensive zone threat, but he shows offensive game-breaking ability that the Red Wings desperately need, so they'd be very smart to pick him up. At 14th overall, the Blue Jackets will be running up to the draft table to take the skilled Cullen Porter from Arizona State University. This is a very interesting player. He plays a similar game to Schmidt, who just got drafted last pick, but his skating is just next level. I'd say is top 3, maybe even top 2 in this draft class. His vision and playmaking ability is his next greatest talent, and honestly, I think he has the pure talent and just offensive brilliance to be a top 5 player in this draft. But in my opinion, at Arizona State this year, he just failed to show that he can fully take over a game. However, the Blue Jackets, they have a pretty loaded prospect pool. They can afford to take a gamble on an extremely talented and high-ceiling player like Porter. With the second last pick of our mock draft today, the Canucks take a hometown kid in Benjamin Kindle, who's playing with the Calgary Hitmen this season. He was a dominant scorer this season. He scored 99 points, which topped all 2025 draft eligibles. His best trait is that he has excellent awareness with and without the puck, and he has a knack for getting to the open areas to score and make plays. He thrived on a good Hitman team this year as well, but that actually worked in his favor because he showed that he was a perfect complementary player. He made his line mates better, and his work ethic also helps him in both the offensive and defensive zone, and he's actually really nice at winning puck battles despite just standing at 5'10". He's a safe bet for the Canucks, and I think he'll be a solid complementary piece in the Canucks' top or middle 6. And finally, the final pick of our mock draft today is Calgary's pick that Montreal acquired for taking on Sean Monahan. So they select one of the biggest risers in this draft, Brady Martin from the Greyhounds in the OHL. His job in Sault Ste. Marie is simple: bring energy, and that is something he does very well at the OHL level. He's been described as the best hitter at his age many scouts have ever seen, and you'll be hard-pressed to find a player with better work ethic and motor in this draft. His shot is pretty good as well. He's shown flashes of offensive potential, but his job at the NHL level will likely just to bring energy on a third line, and the Canadians, who have lots of dynamic offensive contributors in their core already, will be happy to have him in their middle 6. So that is my top 16 mock draft. I'll be doing a top 32 after the playoffs when we know the full order, like I said. But who do you think will rise on draft day, and what are some prospects that you think are overrated and underrated? And who do you think your favorite team should target in the draft? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.